Views and opinions expressed by Edwin are Edwin and Edwin's only, all right? Not of his sponsors, employers, baby mama, anybody he went to school with, anybody he owe money to. With that being said, enjoy the video. What is going on, everyone? Edwin Pagan here. Thanks for joining me on the Word on the Road podcast, your weekly technology care package, man. I am your host, Edwin Pagan. Thanks for joining me on, this used to be a weekly podcast we did every 3 days, and now we do it only on Wednesdays because coronavirus. It's completely messed up the news cycle, bro. But how's everybody doing, man? I hope everyone's doing good, man. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is a weekly podcast I do, where I take 3 articles from the internet, usually technology related, and I give you my insight, my analysis on them, break it down for you, and then I send you on your way more informed and more aware of things going on the interwebs, man. With that being said, bro, I hope everyone's been doing good. I'm accepting that the lockdown is real, and we're never gonna get out of this. We're gonna be in lockdown and quarantine forever, man. But that being said, man, I have been very fortunate to have work, to be able to work right now. I'm honestly just thankful about that. I was on Facebook today, and I saw one of my friends posting something about like how affected they are about just the fact that they're like their life has been changed. Like they love what they do. They love working in hospitality, and the fact that they can't do that anymore. It's crazy. It speaks to how affected they are, because I think it goes beyond money for some people. I think for some people it's about pride. It's about having a purpose. It's about something that just meaningful in your life, and a lot of people lost that, bro. So it's weird to see things going on right now, but I hopefully won't be as somber on this podcast. All right. I one of the reasons I honestly had to switch to the format of doing this once a week instead of 3 times a week is because just like if I did it 3 times a week, bro, all I'm gonna be talking about is coronavirus stories, and I don't want to do that. And so it kind of just speaks to what's going on these days, man. So, but with that being said, man, everything else with me is good. Definitely, I've been working on the studio. I finally got some lighting. Excuse me. I finally got some lighting in the studio, some better lighting to make my videos better. It was crazy because I was using like a little spotlight camera, and it's just like that was not working at all. But with that being said, just been working on the studio, getting content out, and that's it, man. You know what I'm saying? But let's see what else I wanted to cover about my personal life. No, that's it. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the articles. Keep the podcast short, but keep it short but in depth. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, man, the articles discussed today will be available. But with that being said, guys, the articles discussed today will be available in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on a podcast application, it'll be available in the bio. So with that being said, guys, first article of the day is coming from the fine folks at Ars Technica, which is basically your boy Elon Musk said that he will be opening his plant up despite basically the lockdown going on, right? So he said, he dares county officials to arrest him as he reopens his Fremont factory. Now, man, Elon Musk right now, obviously, he has cars to make, you know what I'm saying, and you got to respect him in a sense for being a guy who is standing up for what he believes in. He's saying that, hey, listen, we're taking all the proper precautions in order to make sure our employees are safe, getting tested, hand sanitizer, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, his factory cannot afford to shut down. They cannot afford to not make deliveries. They cannot afford to just completely cease operations, or else they're going to fail. And it's one of those things where there's a perspective or an angle that you can come at from the sense of like they're billionaires. Why do they they have plenty of money, they don't need any money? But there's another aspect of it where it's like, yes, but this is still a business, and it's not an endless bank account. If he has to make payroll 3 times and an operational cost that come with that factory, and he has to make payroll 3 times, where's that money coming from if there's no money coming in? You look at Disney, as rich as they are here in Orlando, as rich as Disney is, they still had to furlough 90,000 plus employees. You know what I'm saying? And that's just Disney employees. You don't understand the economies and the jobs that are created because of Disney, and the people who depend on workers from Disney, whether they're dry cleaners, whether they're transportation services, whatever they are. they no longer exist right now because of the quarantine, and so those companies are furloughing because they can't afford it, because they will lose money. And that's basically what Elon Musk is saying, is like saying, hey, listen, we the type of work we're doing, we're not exposing the general public to this disease. We're in a factory, you know what I'm saying? And so to see him kind of stand up and say, hey, listen, nah, bruh, like we're gonna make these cars, and if you want to arrest me, arrest me. If you don't, then don't, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta respect someone like this for what he's doing. I always respect people, regardless if I believe in their cause or not, who are willing to fall on the sword for their beliefs, who are willing to fall on their. I'm not saying I support terrorism, bro. That's a terrible idea. But what I'm saying is that, like, you gotta respect someone who's able to believe in something like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's exactly what Elon Musk is. It really shows that, like, he really is in this. He really is in this forever. You know what I'm saying? The way he cares about his businesses is not just a money grab. It's like, nah, bro, like we will continue to make these cars. And so salute to Elon Musk for what he's doing, and hopefully I don't bite my tongue on this, and in a couple weeks from now we hear about Tesla having the highest infection rates or something like that. But with that being said, man, check out that article at Ars Technica, man. So next story is coming from the fine folks at BuzzFeed News, which is Twitter will allow employees to work at home forever. So Jack Dorsey had sent out a message to employees, an email on Tuesday, telling them that they will be allowed to work from home permanently even after coronavirus pandemic lockdown passes, man. So basically he's saying what everyone should have been saying for years now, which is the idea that employees have to come into the office is such a 20th century concept, and in the world we're living in now, with technology, with broadband, with video conferencing, with Skype, Zoom, there's 1,000 applications out there, with cloud. What is the purpose of having people in the office, you know, outside of like people who need to be in the office, right? Because he kind of highlights in the article that, like, people who are like, for example, people who are like engineers, like server engineers, obviously they need to come on site and service engineers and stuff, like service to servers. But outside of that work, if you're working in finance, if you're working in accounting, if you're working in marketing, a lot of these jobs are just, you're sitting in a cubicle and working, and then going to a meeting and then coming back. And if you look at how much more productive people can be if they work from home, they don't have to go drive. They don't have to, like, they can hop on meetings instantly. They don't, like, the list goes on. And so I've always said that, like, work in the office in particular is just like a giant daycare for adults, because we don't trust them, you know. And I think now more than ever, with the accessibility of high-speed internet, with computers and all that stuff, and the ability to lock down computers securely, there's no reason why companies shouldn't allow employees or give employees the options to work from home. Because it's just like, what is the purpose of me being here? And I think the longer we spend time in quarantine, the more employees are going to say, hey, why do I have to come in the office today? What do you need me for? Like, just call me. Just text me, you know. I've had the privilege of having jobs where I could work remotely. I like going into the office. Now, I'm weird like that, but I like getting dressed up. I liked going into the office. But even at the time, my configuration or my setup I had at home wasn't ideal for working from home. But right now, the way my stuff is set up, it's set up for work from home. My office is on point. I have everything I need to get the job done. And so it goes back to that point. It's like, why do people come into the office? And so I think after all this is said and done, I know that, like, a lot of companies are going to follow suit with what, you know, Twitter is doing, which is allowing people to work home remotely, you know, because at the end of the day, what is it that you need me at the office for if I'm just going to be sitting in a cubicle? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've worked in jobs where we sit in a cubicle and you don't talk to other people. You don't leave that cubicle all day. You literally sit in that cubicle. You go to lunch, you go to the bathroom, you come back, and you work in that cubicle. Why can't I do that from home? You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, one of the companies that my buddy's working for, he told me that they're doing more of it, like, give us a reason to send you back to the office. Meaning, when you betray that trust, when we see that you're not productive or anything like that, we'll say, hey, come on into the office and see what's going on. But until then, give us a reason to send you to the office. But if you keep doing your job correctly, if you're doing it right, if you're excelling, then there should be no reason why you can't work from home, man. Because for a lot of people, it's ideal, you know. It's an ideal solution to not have to spend so much money on gas. No more excuses about having car issues and being late to work. being able to pick up your kids, being able to be home while your kids are home, it's important. And so there's just so many things that are benefits of working from home, especially for families, that I think it's one of those things that employees really need to reconsider. Because there's people that I guarantee you who will even take a salary cut if they can work from home. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll calculate it in the sense of like, well, I already spend $2,000 or $3,000 a year on gas. That's money I just saved. You know what I'm saying? If I get to work from home, and so it's an interesting way to look at it. But I think a lot of companies are going to follow suit with what Twitter is doing, which is saying, hey, if you want to work from home permanently, by all means, do your thing, play. So with that being said, man, next article and last article is coming from the fine folks at Android Authority. So this is an interesting article that I found pretty gnarly, which is did you know Samsung once thought Android was a joke? Man, this kind of speaks to the history of Android and iPhone. I thought this was very interesting, to say the least. But basically what they talk about on the article is that the original designer of Android had presented it to Samsung, to a room of executives. He's like, yo, this is Android. It's a mobile operating system designed to compete with like BlackBerry and with iPhone. It's an open source system, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in the article, it talks about how the executives in the room laughed at him. They said, who you and what team are going to design this mobile operating system and deploy it to devices, right? And then what the article talks about is that like I think it's like a couple days later, he sells the Android operating system to Google for $50 million, and then Google hired him as the senior vice president of mobile and digital content, and the rest is history. Google released Android, and Android is what it is today. It's not iPhone. I don't use Android, but it is one of the leading operating systems, man. And I think there's a nostalgic aspect of this story that I like, because I remember that day, not that day, but I remember when Android and iPhone were just, it was Android, iPhone, BlackBerry, Trio, and what is the other one? Windows Mobile Phone. There you go. I remember when it was those four, and then Android and iPhone were they were competing with each other. But in that same respect, this is when the early days of mobile technology were just it's not what it was today. You know what I'm saying? And I remember just thinking man, why can't this be better? I wish Android had this and that. And then to see the phones today as advanced as they are, it kind of makes you reminisce of the days when you didn't have those capabilities. But it kind of speaks to how iPhone kind of set the bar of what mobile technology should be, and everyone followed suit with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think there was a point in time where I don't know if I remember this accurately, that Steve Jobs sat down with the people of I think it was one of the Google guys. He's like, you make phones now? What the hell kind of bullshit is this? And it really was this one of those things where people were in shock to see that oh my God, someone's going after Apple, competing with Apple. And the article kind of talks about if Samsung would have bought Android, would they have been the same company? Would they have been as successful? Would Android have been as successful? And if you ask me, if Samsung would have bought Android, would it have been as successful as it is today? Absolutely 100% not successful. I personally don't like Samsung devices, and the issue with Samsung versus a lot of other companies is that they're so profit driven. You know what I'm saying? So had Samsung acquired Android, Android would have been, in my opinion, a bloated a bloated operating system that probably would have not been accessible on anything other than Samsung devices. Would have been bloated with software, not spyware, but just stuff to to get you to buy other stuff, and it would have been something that would just been completely unenjoyable. And iPhone really would have taken off. I think what Android and what Google does with Android, how they've licensed it, how they've made it open source, how they've made it so smooth, the services that come available with it, and the fact that it's not bloated. Everybody wants that vanilla experience on Android. It kind of speaks to how good the operating system is when its number one goal in its development process is to make it as functional as possible versus how can we install this application. You know, I used to love Samsung phones. I'm an iPhone user now, but I love the Note series, the Samsung Notes. I remember the Samsung Mega. The damn thing was like this huge. And I remember just thinking, like, damn, these phones suck. Like, I would look at the phone's resources and I'd be like, how is it that this phone is doing nothing right now, and off rip 1.5 gigs of RAM are occupied right now, doing nothing? And a lot of it was just software you couldn't remove. You had no control. Everything was really, really locked down. And then the way the phones just aged, like in a year, the phone just was just slow. And it's just like, how is this phone slow? How is it that you have so many specs, but you're slow? Like, you have such high specs, but you're slow. And you see why it's slow, and you can't do anything about it. And that's why I love iPhone. It's you have complete control over the operating system in a weird way, where you can, like, delete applications, and you can see what's on your system, and you can have a buttery experience. And that's honestly why I love iPhone. And so this article kind of just is interesting to see that, like, hey, Samsung once had the opportunity to buy Android. But with that being said, guys, these are the articles for today's episode, man. I appreciate everybody listening to the podcast. Kind of a quick one, kind of a short one, but I wanted to get it out there for you, man. But if you have any questions or comments on the stories, leave them below. I'll try to comment on them for you. But until next time, guys, my name is Edwin Pagan. I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. And until next time, take care, everyone. Peace.
Alex, what are you doing?
Watching my dad's channel.
You're watching your dad's YouTube channel?